Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this little session that we're going to be having. I'm going to be reading a visual novel, The Fruit of Grisaia, and I'm thinking about making this little maybe YouTube series about reading this visual novel and going through the entire novel, which may take a long time, but I think it'll be really enjoyable if you like storytelling. Perhaps you like anime, but yeah, let's go ahead and do this. So I'm hoping that this will be really fun. Intense sunlight blazes down on the road as if to declare the arrival of summer. The burning asphalt radiates heat, mixing with the scent of the tide to form a thick, muggy atmosphere. When the weather is clear in a summer like this, you get guys who lose their heads in the heat. Sexual assaults, robberies, all the way up to the homicides. I don't have time to list the variety of crimes committed by morons with baked brains. As a result, at times like these, the police inevitably get very wary about suspicious types. It was about 10 minutes ago that I realized I've been mistaken for one of these heat-stroked allied sorts.
名前が風見雄二。住所は山梨県大里郡。
Sweat pouring from his forehead as he examines my license, the policeman in front of me takes a glance at the large backpack I'm carrying that continues the background check.
山梨から来たのか、あんた。
Yes.
この町には何の用事で？大荷物背負って、どこかへ行く途中かい？
I told you this 10 minutes ago. I'm moving. This luggage is everything I own.
それじゃあ、引っ越し先の住所は？
Like I said, I don't have one yet. The answer's not going to change no matter how many times you ask.
引っ越し先の住所も決まっていないのに、引っ越してきたっていうのかい？君、何を隠しているの？そろそろ本当のことを教えてよ。
Where did it come from? Where are you going? What are you planning to do there? Depending on the context, these could be fairly philosophical questions, but as far as police inquiries go, they're pretty run-of-the-mill. From their perspective, anyone wandering around without some clear-cut business is by default a criminal of some sort. Let alone someone like me carrying around conspicuous, bulky luggage, it is good as guaranteed that they stop me. That is their job, I suppose, since this little scene acts as a crime deterrent through its visibility. It's not entirely wasted effort, but unfortunately I don't have all day to play along. I drop a glance towards the digital watch I'm wearing around my left wrist. Sorry, but I'm really keeping someone waiting. I really can't spare any more time with hanging around with bored cops. A bored police force is proof that the city's at peace. Take it as a compliment. Inexplicably take offense at my tone, the policeman clicks his tongue in irritation and tosses my license back.
じゃあ、風見さん。悪いけど、お背中の荷物の中身、確認させてもらっていいかな？
I refuse.
どうして？何か見られたくないものでも入ってるの？刃物とか持ってない？
I don't rely on blades, policy of mine. Look, are you really telling me to unpack all this on the spot? It'll take an hour at least. 30 minutes just to take it all out. 30 minutes to stuff it back in.
じゃあ立ち話もなんだし、警察署に行こうか。冷たいお茶ぐらい出すからさ。そこでゆっくりお話を聞かせてよ。
I just told you I don't have the time. I can't accept the voluntary questioning. I know you just can't back down in this situation, but if we'll say that I'll head over there myself later, can we wrap this up for now?
そんな都合のいいこと言って、そのまましらばっくれる気だろ。だったらせめて自宅の連絡先を教えてよ。
As I've explained, I'm in the middle of a move. I vacated my old place, so I don't have an address.
じゃあご両親の住んでいる実家の住所だ。まさか両親もホームレスだとは言うまい？
I don't have any parents, no siblings or relatives either. They're all dead.
本当に？やっぱり何か隠してるんじゃないの？
This is going nowhere.
警察署まで来てくれれば無駄な問答をしなくて済むんだけどね。今パトカー呼ぶから少し待っててくれる？
Then at least let me call the person I'm supposed to be meeting. At this rate, they'll be waiting all day.
そりゃ構わないけど。相手は誰？お友達？
I'm not going to tell you that.
言えないような相手なのか?
It's your mother. We had an appointment at the hotel tonight.
は?
I was keeping it quiet out of the goodness of my heart. You dragged it out of me, so don't blame me when your parents get divorced and your happy home is shattered.
バカにしてるのか?
My goodness, here.
え?
Oh. About 30 meters away from where we're talking, someone screams. A desperate cry follows within seconds. A woman sits collapsed on the street, stretching out her hand. Her high heels lie on the ground, knocked off her feet by the sudden fall. Just about halfway between us, there's a man in a flashy Hawaiian shirt running in this direction. Although the thief flinches for a moment at the sight of the policeman's uniform, after a quick glance checking for every convenient side streets, he barrels onward. Brandishing the stolen bag menacingly, his hand violently gestures out of the way. The cop is completely flustered. He's clearly quite unaccustomed to this sort of situation. While he's panicking, the distance between us and the thief shrinks with surprisingly swiftness. The man runs in a straight line towards a breakthrough to freedom. I happen to be standing directly in the middle of his path. As he prepares to strike with the bag, I assert the movement of his shoulder and arm from the first signs of motion, and hit his wrist sharply just as he begins to swing. The man's arm instantly stiffens and loses all momentum. His eyes pop wide open in shock. I immediately grab the collar of the Hawaiian shirt he's wearing and firmly draw him towards me. Before the man could offer resistance to my pull, I smoothly reverse and use my body weight to shove against him. When he's pushed just as he begins to brace themselves against being pulled, anyone except a genuine expert is going to be thrown off balance. Hey, nice shirt. Where'd you buy it? Shock spreads across the man's face as his knees buckle against his will. I try to gain a chokehold using the grip of the neck of his shirt, but... The man promptly draws his head back and shifts his body to the side, preventing me from landing a hold of his neck. Although I expected much from the glance of his build, but it seems like he's somewhat experienced in judo. But in this case, you would have been better off trying a decisive tackle. Rotating around the purse snatcher in the opposite direction of his slide. I yank his right arm upward with both hands. In one movement, I circle to his back. Next, pull back on the opponent's wrist and elbow and pin him to the ground. This is just basic Aikido, by the way. Hey now, you got your priorities all wrong. Before worrying about me, you should kill the guy who sold you that shirt. Perhaps unconsciously, the man's now empty left hand desperately slaps against the asphalt. While holding the thief pinned, I quickly shoot a glance behind me. Don't just stand there. The policeman jerks up straight in response to my angry shouts. Taking a pair of handcuffs from the pouch around his waist, he runs over to restrain the criminal. The purse snatcher seems to resign himself to his fate and doesn't offer any pointless resistance. He accepts his red-handed arrest for the theft doinkly and rests quietly on the ground with his head hung up as the policeman radios for backup. Apparently they weren't too far off as a siren approaches in no time. Two policemen get out of their rising cruiser and push the criminal into the back seat. As I'm quietly watching the scene in perfect passivity, the policeman from earlier runs over. I'll pass on the letter of thanks, so how about we let me move on? I figured as much. Shaking my head in aspiration, I silently rebuke myself. Should I have left it alone? As the policeman pushes at my back, I glance at my wristwatch and informs me that I'm already 5 minutes late for my meeting. And look over here, the interrogation room.
もうそろそろ話してくれないか。
30 minutes have passed since I was brought to the interrogation room, familiar as a place where criminals break into flex swap and TV dramas. I'm sitting in a cheap foldable pipe chair, my arms folded in perfect silence.
そうやって黙ってちゃいつまで経っても帰れないぞ。誰かと待ち合わせをしているんだろ。さっさと話して終わらせた方がいいんじゃないか。
Instead of responding, I close my eyes, a silent statement indicating that I have absolutely no intention of opening my mouth. The detective clicks his tongue in aspiration as my attitude. I've got a pretty fair idea of what he'll be doing next.
やましいことがないなら話せるだろう。いつまでだんまりを決め込むつもりだ。
The sound of something being struck and an even louder attempt at intimidation. This is the point where a timid guy would be jumping out of his seat with his eyes wide open, or maybe staring at the floor and quivering. As for me, my eyes are still shut and my arms are still folded quietly. My mind is totally blank. I've been accustomed to adults shouting at me since I was a child. Following the threat stage, the next step would be for him to grip my hair, jolt me back and forth. But I'm dealing with an official authority group here. I should get off without direct violence this time. Not to say that they won't pull the old TV cliches, harass me by shining the desk light in my eyes, or something of the sort. I can roughly translate the detective's sigh. Goddamn kids these days. I gently open my eyes in order to sneak a look at his disgusted face. The detective sitting in front of me seems to be challenging the Guinness World Record of the most dramatic asymmetry between his left and right sides of his human mouth. Or maybe he's just scowling. When I let out a snort of laughter in response to an unexpectedly pleasant sight, the detective scratches his head violently and glares at me.
あのな兄ちゃん、誰に入れ知恵されたか知らないが、警察で黙秘したって何も得はしないぞ。
It won't gain you anything either, but you won't gain you anything, but you won't lose anything either, except your time. I turn my gaze to the clock at the wall at the sweatbox. An hour has already passed since there's my scheduled time for my meeting.
なんとか言ったらどうなんだ。
The detective strikes the desk with excellent comic timing. The best part is the way he knocks his ashtray off the table every time he does this.
もう、なんなんだよお前は。
His tone distinctly fed up. He stoops down to pick up the plastic tray off the floor. Kazumi occupation student.
だから、そりゃもう何度も聞いたっつんだよ。調べたよ。山梨から来たんだろ。過去の犯罪歴はなし、歩道歴も交通違反もなし、何かを表彰されるようなこともなし。ここまで綺麗な懲罰なしってのは変だろ。まるで誰かが細工したみてえに真っ白なんだよお前は。お前は一体何者なんだ。
Kazumi occupation student.
なんだそりゃ。警察に捕まったらそれしか言うなって誰かに言われてんのか。お前どっかのテロリストか。
Kazumi occupation student.
おういい、黙れ。
First it's say something, now it's shut up. Talk about hard to please. Our capricious detective scowls yet again and scratches his head. Flakes of dandruff drift grandly through the air. Based on his thoroughly wrinkled suit and heavy stumble, I'd say he has been home in days.
なあ頼むよ。こっちの事情も考えてくれよ。
Another sigh. It's enough to want me to heal one myself. Because we both take our work seriously, it seems like we're stuck going around in circles.
さっきのひったくり事件の取り調べも進まないし、厄介なの捕まえたよまったく。
Just as we roughly complete this exchange of one-sided bitterness and mutual glaring, there's a well-timed knock at the door, and the sound of it being unlocked.
はい。あ、お疲れ様です。
A slightly plump elderly detective enters the room. Given the respectful tone of the detective I've been chatting with, it's probably a superior of some sort.
どうかしましたか。はい。
After a quick glance in my direction, the elderly detective whispers something into the younger man's ear. Before long, the younger detective turns towards me with a decidedly non-pleased expression.
釈放だとお疲れさん。
Why now, all of a sudden?
それはこっちから聞いてくれ。それじゃあな。
With those parting words, the young detective leaves the room. The elderly detective watches him go and then faces me with a greasy smile.
いやー、すみませんでしたね、風見さん。こちらに連絡が行っていなかったようで、先ほどようやっとあなたの身元保証人の方と連絡が取れた次第でして。
The detective stares at me with eyes like dead fish.
市ヶ谷の関係者なら最初からそう言っていただかないと。
If you have known I was from Ichigawa from the start, will you throw me in jail, strip me naked, and spray me down with a hose?
まさかご冗談を。うちは天下の桜だもんですよ。
Just to let you know, I'm nothing but a student. My work at Ichigawa is only a part-time cleaning job.
掃除ですか。なるほどね。うまいことおっしゃいますな。さすがはインテリさんの集まりだ。
In response to my words, the detective twists his mouth into something vaguely resembling a smile.
いやー、ですからね。そちらさんもそんなご事情ならば、もっと早く言っておいていただければよかったんですが、ご存知かと思いますが、上があれですから、いろいろとややこしくてね。
Sarcasm drifts from every pore of his body. The detective treats me with transparently insincere courtesy. He's perfectly civil on the superficial level, but the atmosphere in here is growing increasingly unpleasant. The younger detective from before, hard as he was, seemed indefinitely preferable. Did you inquire Ichigawa about me?
いいえね、あなたのお名前をデータベースで検索させたんですがね。検索している最中に電話が鳴りまして、受話器を上げてみたら防衛省の特別の機関からのお電話でして、うちの犬がそちらで保護されていないかと聞きましてね。いや、驚きましたよ、実際。うちは保健所じゃありませんからね。
Since you found my owner and confirmed my leash is properly attached, I should be able to leave now, right?
どうぞご自由に。ああ、そうそう。あなたが今度転入なさる学園の学園長からもこちらに連絡がありましたよ。
I don't like this elderly detective too, actually. That's so.
なかなかいらっしゃらないからと近隣の署に片っ端から連絡を入れたそうですよ。おかげでうちの所長も会議の途中で電話に引っ張られたようでして、散々闇を言われたと言っておりました。
Where's my backpack?
お預かりした荷物は玄関に出してありますので、そちらで。なんでしたらうちの車でお送りしましょうか。
You're not getting any funds from public taxes in order to chauffeur bums like me around, are you? I'll walk. After I'm urged out the door by the old man, the young detective appears from the rear, carrying the backpack they'd taken from me earlier.
とんでもない重さだな、これは。一体何が入ってるんだ？
A bit of a tough question. I guess you could say my life.
ギャグだとしたら出来は悪いぞ。
That wasn't really what I was going for.
まあ、そんなことはどうでもいい。ちょっと。
Dropping the backpack next to me, the detective lets out a light sigh. Thanks for lugging it here. Pretty heavy, isn't it?
仕事で柔道やってるような人間に言う言葉じゃないな。田舎の警察とはいえ、その辺は仕込まれてる。
True. I guess that's natural for a policeman. Sorry. The detective smiles wryly.
なあ、お前、埋め立て地の学生なんだってな。
I'm wearing the school uniform. You can see it at a glance.
制服が着られているって感じだがな。
He clasps my shoulder as we pass each other.
気をつけてな。いろんな意味で。
With those parting words, he heads back to the police station. I guess I don't make a convincing student yet. I'm wearing deep blue slacks and a short-sleeved dress shirt, as well as a dark red and yellow striped necktie. Excluding my somewhat longish hair, I should be the very image of a student. I guess it's a little difficult turning into something like that all of a sudden. But it's probably precisely because this is difficult that I decided to give it a try. For a while, I myself didn't understand why I've been asked for this, but now I think I have a faint grasp on the reason. I wanted to become something that I couldn't understand, something that I wasn't. At the moment, I've done nothing but smooth down my edges a bit. Perhaps later on, I'll become a student on the inside as well. The sun that had been climbing upward earlier has now finally reached its zenith. The temperature keeps rising, and the sweat oozes from my skin. I was pretty sure she'd pick me up, but... Sensing a presence, I lower my gaze from the sun. My eyes, well accustomed to the high contrast lighting, project a human form and a silhouette for only just the briefest of moments before the details fade in. A woman raising an awkward salute and grinning broadly stands before my eyes. Spare me, I don't want to see a pose like that outside the workplace. In the first place, what's with that dopey salute? The girls in the bikinis on the Maritime SDF recruitment posters have more impressive form. I don't recall contributing enough to society today to deserve any appreciation. She opens the door of the car and stops next to her. Yeah, true enough. For Mishima Cape Police Station to National Highway number 133 southbound, we proceed to Prefecture Highway and advance further out towards the Cape. A range of slowly rotating wind turbines come into view, indicating our proximity to the scene. I doubt you really thought I was sick. You were trying the police stations first, not the hospitals. Accuracy in weather forecasts and interpersonal communications make society run smoother. Pouting yet again, she continues her harangue. Sorry, I hate trains. Could you not mention this to the other students? I don't want them getting funny ideas from me about the get-go. I've got enough of that from the police. I got enough of that from the police to last me a while. The car proceeds about 500 meters along the area of reclaimed coastal land before she brought it to a stop. So this is what you meant by landfill, I see. As I'm recalling the words from the detective from before, the woman continues our conversation with a sudden cheerful tone. Very nice. Barely even looks like a school. Although I've heard it was a new school, its external appearance genuinely isn't what I expected. A 3-story building, the pure white color of the outer walls is the only typical school-like element, with every other aspect more closely resembling a city office building. The gates to the right and left are less invocative of a school gate and a functional fence at some facility. The mounted sideboard, likewise, is a utilitarian thing printed in a simple typeface rather than the hand-drawn work of calligraphy.
これからここがあなたの母校になるのよ。感慨深くない？
I've only just arrived at the place. If I'd say I was deeply moved by the sight, it'd be a lie.
味もそっけもない。人間想像力が大事なのよ。
I'm just thinking of SpongeBob imagination. With an exasperated sigh, she opens her hands wide in the overblown gesture of a third-rate actor.
新設校だからあまり学校のイメージがないかもしれないけど、学生だってちゃんと普通のいい子たちがいるのよ。だから。
Oop. Her rigmarole was abruptly interrupted by the high-pitched shrieks of two girls.
やめなさいマキナ。やめなさいってお願いだから。あまねなんで逃げるの？セミかわいいよ。虫は大嫌いなのよ。
Oh Lord.
むせ返るほど笑ってんじゃないわよマキナ。あんた後で覚えてなさいよ。おやつ抜きにするんだから。おい、ノーウェイ。普通の
Normal. Could you define that term? Is there a class where we chase each other around brandishing insects?
違うのよ。あの子たちはそのね。
I don't think I do, but it's nice to see that's a lively school.
でしょ。とりあえず行きましょうか。中に。
Well, having apparently forgotten what she was planning to do with her outspread hands, she tutors through the school gate. Her office is positioned quite near the school's building's front entrance. The furniture is nicely arranged, based around the old-fashioned desk and chair. In contrast to the incongruity of the building's external appearance, this room is a textbook example of the old-fashioned principal's office.
そこ座って。
I sit on a genuine leather sofa that's one of the room's more prominent furnishings. After waiting for me to settle myself, she lowers herself into the seat across from me.
学園長の立花千鶴です。ようこそ美浜学園へ。はじめまして。それともお久しぶりねの方がいいかしら、風見くん。
On the practical level, nice to meet you might be the better option.
そっか。そうね、確かに。
With a slight amused smile, Principal Tachibana takes out a pamphlet.
まあ、あなたのことだからもう概要は知ってるとは思うけど、一応説明はしておくわ。
She flips past a couple pages in the brochure. I haven't noticed, but her fingernails are lightly polished.
ここは学校法人榊学園の運営する私学の学園で、全国から選ばれた学生たちを集めて日々勉学に励んでいるの。榊学園の母体は関東一円に私鉄網を持つ東浜急行電鉄グループ。その資金力を持って最高の設備と教職員を揃えているわ。まず
The principal's talk shifts to more detailed matters. The East Beach Express is an enormous corporate group with its hands in real estate and large-scale retail, but its core business is the management of the rail line connecting Tokyo and the Haneda Airport. The EBE's management is shouldered by the Sakaki's family, and it seems plausible that the Sakaki Academy Corporation is also administered by them directly, but that's only a guess based on circumstantial evidence. Given the lack of public information on the secretive corporate's activities, or even the existence of this academy, I haven't gained anything that could be called definite proof from my investigation so far.
あなたは2年生として学園に入ってもらいます。早速明日のホームルームで転校のことをお知らせするから、それ以降は自由に振る舞って構わないわ。
Her fingers come to a stop, bringing her hands gently together. The principal raises her gaze from the pamphlet and meets my eyes.
どう？あなたのお望み通り、普通の学園生活を送るには最適の環境だと思うけど。
I have a few questions.
どうぞ。
First, today is the weekday, but there's barely anybody on the school grounds. What's going on?
少数精鋭なのよ。学生数はあなたを入れて6人だけなの。
6 students. Okay. Only 6.
そうよ。
The elite few.
ええ。
That includes our friends with the cicada just now.
もちろん。
Question 2. Where am I living from today on?
全寮制なの。後で学生寮の場所を案内します。そこからここに通ってちょうだい。
A dormitory, is it?
寮といっても十分な広さのある個室だから安心よ。
In that case, not a problem.
以上かしら。
Before we finish, one last thing.
はい、どうぞ。
For this last question only, I stared directly into her eyes. I need to affirm the principal's intentions in bringing me here. After all is said and done, is this a normal school? The principal closes her mouth. After a slight... is it mouth? Okay. After a slight moment of silence, she opens it again. A gentle smile. I'm convinced that she isn't lying to me to further some hidden self-interest.
あなたがあの時に言った希望、ちゃんと覚えているわよ。
The principal slowly stands up and walks to the side window. To the window side. The athletic grounds are visible from the window. Although resembling those of a normal school, the grounds are skirted by improbably high wall.
普通の学園に入って、普通の学生生活が送りたい。
The mere handful of students, the bizarre, extravagant facilities, the on-campus dormitory, the high wall surrounding it all, they clearly indicate abnormality. Yeah.
でもね、あなたも分かってると思うけど、あなた自身の境遇を考えると、ここしか条件に合うところがなかったのよ。
I guess you're right.
私はあくまでもここは普通の学園だとあなたに言います。
The principal turns to face me.
だからあなたもここで普通に過ごしてくれればいいわ。何かしてほしいとか私から言うことはありません。
Understood.
それじゃ寮の方へ案内するわ。
Yeah. With a nod, I rise to my feet. On the grounds outside, Augusta's salty sea air kicks up a cloud of sand.
ここが学生寮よ。管理室も含めると部屋数は全部で11。各部屋ごとにお風呂とトイレとキッチンが備え付けられてるから生活の心配はないわ。家具も一通り揃ってるしね。何キョロキョロしてるの？
The cicada pair from earlier don't seem to be around.
スオさんとイリスさんのことね。二人ともまだ学園に残っているのかもね。小峰さんもいないようだし。
That Komine guy, a student here too.
その子に寮の案内を頼んでいたんだけど姿が見えないから。
So you don't have a minute grasp on the movements of the students, I see.
私はほら単なる学園長だから。
Merely, is it?
ちょっと待ってね。 部屋にいるのかもしれないから。
The principal walks towards the interior of the building. Left there by myself, I stare vacantly up at the ceiling. Soon, I'm unconsciously falling to my habit of counting the number of visible sprinklers, then roughly estimating the scale of the building. Calculating the time needed to gain control of the front entrance, and asserting the location of the emergency exits. Not that many support pillars, are there? Guess that's why the ceilings are a bit low. Having grown absorbed into analyzing the building, I don't even notice the tug at my sleeve.
私の声聞こえてますか?
Until the final excuse me of many finally it catches my my ear.
あなたは今日到着予定の転入生さんですか?
I drop my gaze in the direction of the voice and find a girl in a housemaid clothes looking up at me. Not that she's of particularly diminutive heights, except in comparison to a taller male like mine.
それとも不審者さんでしょうか?
No one's going to admit that they're an intruder if you ask them point blank.
そういえばそうですね。目から鱗です。
The maid nods several times, slowly closing her eyes, and begins to repeat my words.
不審者かと尋ねられて不審者だと答えるやつはいない。不審者かと尋ねられて不審者だと答えるやつはいない。大丈夫。それでは質問の仕方を変えて、あなたは不審者さんではない人でしょうか?
Flexible thinking isn't your strong suit, clearly. No, never mind. So, what does a maid want with me?
ですから、私はあなたが怪しい人かどうかを確認しています。
This would be the second time I've heard that pickup line.
それはおめでとうございます。それで、あなたは不審者さんではない人なんでしょうか?
You're a lot tougher than you look, maid.
小峰さん、ちょうどよかった。こちらが今度転入することになった風見くんよ。
At this point, having noticed their voices, the principal calls out to the girl. It seems that this maid was Komane after all.
やっぱりあなたが転入生さんだったんですね。
I'm Kazumi Yuji. Good to meet you.
はい、こちらこそよろしくお願いします。
I don't think you've introduced yourself.
すみません。下の名前はサチです。よろしくお願いします。
And this time, it's nothing but the first name. I had this thought earlier with the other two, but you certainly gathered some unique elites here.
学生の個性を伸ばすのが学園の役目だから。
Which would mean that she's a student too.
小峰さんはこの学園の1年生よ。あなたには小峰さんが教壇に立つような年に見えた?
That's not really my point of confusion here. Our uniform creates certain preconceptions. For example, if I see a girl wearing bunny ears in a bar, I don't ask what she's done with her Bible.
小峰さんは普段からメイド服でいることが多いから。
That's not an explanation.
確かにそうね。それじゃあ小峰さん、説明してあげて。わかりました。私はクラス委員を任されている関係で、よく先生方のお手伝いや雑用をお願いされることが多いのですが、なんだかメイドさんみたいだねという話から、ちょっとメイド服着てみなよと促され、実際着てみたらやっぱり似合うから、なるべく普段から着た方がいいよと提案されたので、なるべく普段からメイド服を着るように心がけています。
I see, you're a devoted one. That fallen bunny girl's sister could learn a thing or two from you.
はい、ありがとうございます。
I wasn't really intending that to be a compliment, but there's no point in telling her that.
じゃあ、ここからは彼女に案内してもらって、その方が話もできていいでしょう。
no objections.
それじゃあ小峰さん、あとはお願いね。わかりました。それではまず1階から案内していきますね。
Yeah, if you would. The maid slowly begins to walk, but quickly comes to a stop in front of the management room. Stopped dead, she's staring at me with an expression that clearly indicates she has something to say. What's wrong? You need something?
その、あなたのことを何とお呼びしたらいいのか聞き忘れていました。
Come to think of it, you're right.
すみません。
Well, you can call me whatever you want.
それでしたら、ゆうくんと呼ばせていただいてもよろしいでしょうか。
We've gotten pretty familiar all of a sudden.
では、風見さんというのはいかがでしょう。
Sure. Anyway, I'll call you Sachi.
サチ。
My bad. Would Sachimon be better?
いえ、サチで構いませんよ。
Her expression didn't change in the slightest, but her eyes, at the moment she spoke those words with a strange forcefulness. That's so, alright. Sachi, best regards and all that.
はい。
Judging from her smile, she seems like she didn't dislike being called Sachi.
それでは早速なのですが、寮に入って最初に見えるこの部屋が風見さんのお部屋になります。
Nameplate seems to say that it's the management room, though.
学園長さんのお話では、風見さんには寮長を兼ねてこの部屋に住んでほしいとのことでしたけど。
In other words, she wants me to play the prison guard. Well, at the very least, 3 of the 6 students living in this dorm are females. It would probably be prudent to have a room as far as possible from theirs to avoid possible, potential trouble. Mind if we take a look inside?
はい。これが部屋の鍵です。どうぞ。
When I open the door with the key she hands me, a permanently placed set of kitchen and household goods catches my eye. They seem to be in good shape, and I can confirm with a glance that the room itself will be more than an adequate living environment given my needs.
この寮のすべての部屋には火災報知器が1つと2つのスプリンクラーが設置されています。
Got it. She seems to guess my thoughts from the direction of my gaze.
そこは1畳半ほどのウォークインクローゼットになっていると聞いています。
As a little test, I focus my eyes on a different point of interest, and she provides me an explanation in the same way. Although she's a little off in some departments, she seems to be pretty sharp in other aspects. I see, looks like there won't be any problems. As I speak, I twist a faucet over the sink. Was someone using this room before I came?
いいえ、少なくとも4ヶ月は誰も使っていなかったはずですが。
The water's pretty clear, considering.
まあ、建物自体新しいですし、風見さんがいらっしゃる前はこの部屋を倉庫代わりに使用することもあったので、その時に誰かが水道を使っていたのかもしれません。私も時々お掃除の時にバケツの水を汲むために使っていましたから。
I see. I twist the faucet to stop the water, drop the luggage I've been carrying on the spot, and promptly left the room.
それから玄関を入って正面のスペースはみんなの共有の場所になっています。
The standard student dorm community space, is it?
はい。マキちゃんやアマネさんなんかはよくここで過ごしていますよ。
That's so. Although I haven't heard these names before, they must be the other students.
それから風見さんの部屋の隣はボイラー室。その正面が階段で、その奥には4つの部屋があって、階段の隣の3号室が私の部屋になります。
I heard that there are 11 rooms in total. Any reason why do you pick the one on the first floor?
それは私の名前がサチなので、さっちゃんなら3号室でしょと。
I get the idea.
ここが2階です。2階は基本的に部屋のみの構造となっていて、私以外の学生さんは全員この階に住んでいます。
Which would mean 2 of these are vacant.
はい、7号室と9号室は現在空き部屋になっています。3階はこの大浴場をはじめとした戦闘的な構造になっています。階段の反対側にはコインランドリーや物干しスペースもあるので、必要な時に利用してください。もし洗濯自体が苦手なようでしたら、私に言っていただければ代行しますので。
Wouldn't taking care of someone else's chores be a nuisance?
クラス委員ですから。
Alright, I'll keep that offer in mind.
はい。
There's no reason to refuse outright when someone's offer is delivered with such an earnest smile. By the way, can we use the grand bathroom as we please?
はい、清掃は専門の業者さんが定期的にやってくれているので、清掃中以外は24時間利用可能です。ただ、男湯と女湯に分かれているわけではないので、風見さんが入浴する際は入り口にこの札をかけるようにしてください。
As she speaks, she hands me a card that reads, "In use, male bathing." Sure, I think I might take advantage of it pretty often. The view up here is pretty nice.
そうですね。周りには校舎の他に高い建物もないですし、ガラスの透過率も 75% ですから、海面に沈む夕日を眺めることもできますよ。
An ocean view, not bad.
ご希望ならすぐに入ることもできますけど。
As she speaks, I notice Sachi's already holding a towel and change of clothes on her hand. You're pretty well prepared.
この大浴場を見た大体の人はすぐに入ってみたくなるみたいなので。
I see. The fruit of your experience, is it? What's wrong?
風見さんのための着替えではなく、私の着替えを持ってきてしまいました。
As if to demonstrate, female underwear slips out among the clothes in Sachi's hand. Is this a declaration that you want to bathe with me? Oh Lord.
いえ、そのつもりはありませんでした。すみません。
I really don't think there's anything to apologize for.
ありがとうございます。では、これで寮の案内は終わりになりますが、何か質問はありますか？
Let's see, can I ask about something other than the dorm?
私に答えられることでしたら。
In that case, let's hear your 3 sizes, Sachi.
はい、上から82、56、83です。
At the moment, is there any specific band that you're going out with?
いません。
Your experience with men to date?
ありません。
I know that I'm the one to ask you those questions, but answering them so politely, would that also be because you're the class representative?
クラス委員はみんなの役に立ってこそのクラス委員ですから。
What an admirable devotion to customer service.
ありがとうございます。他に質問はありますか？
Nothing comes to mind.
わかりました。もし他に聞きたいことができたら、部屋にある内線電話で3番を押してください。私の部屋につながるので。
Got it.
それでは私はこれで失礼しますね。
With that note of farewell, Sachi bows like a genuine housemaid and starts to turn away. Ah, Sachi.
はい。
Thanks for the tour. I really appreciate it.
はい。
The class representatives these days seem to be a surprisingly tough-willed breed. After Sachi's tour ended, I took another look around the interior of the building on my own. By the time I returned to my room, the sun is already low in the sky and the light growing dim. Should probably put this stuff away before it gets dark. Opening my backpack, I pulled out all the contents and began to put them away on the shelves I've been provided with. It's a real help that I've got a closet. Things I can leave in a visible place, and things can be stowed away in the bag. Dividing my possessions between the two, the latter are clearly more numerous. Normal, huh? While looking over to my mountain of luggage, I mutter in the self-deprecating tone. As I work, the sun sinks leisurely into the sea. At my usual time, 4:45 a.m., I woke up at my usual way and ran the course I marked down mentally on the way here. To tell the truth, I was stopped by a policeman yesterday. It was because I've been wandering back and forth in the same place while planning out the possible marathon route. I woke at the usual time, ran the usual time, and now I'm eating my usual breakfast. It's no different from the days I was living together with my master in the mountains, my standard tempo of living. If there was a difference, it's limited to the slight surprise that I felt when I opened my eyes and found a roof over my head. During my hike from Yamanashi, I've gotten used to sleeping in the open, so when I woke up inside a room, there was a slight feeling of unease, and I thought, right, I'm living in a dorm now. That mild discomfort hasn't disappeared even now as I'm eating my corn cereal. It's hard to settle down inside in a new layer until it's ingrained with your sense. Even so, I've started living in this tempo every day from now on, and going to school every morning, so there's no real need to rush things. If I have actively spent every day backing myself with potentially useful knowledge, someday this sort of lifestyle may come natural to me. The effort strikes me as a little troublesome, but as my master once told me, when it comes to your life and your woman, a little bit of trouble is just about right. Well, I think you're not wrong. Speaking of women, they're a simple bunch, but that doesn't make them any less difficult to handle. This is kind of... I learned that much from my first year living with my master. In my master's words, when you're a brat, run fast. Wait, when you're a brat, running fast is enough to make you popular. When you're a middle schooler, the guys who can get a... Wait, hold on. When you're a brat, running fast is enough to make you popular. When you're a middle schooler, the guys who can fight will be popular, and after that, it's the guys with the brains who will get the girls. In other words, run, punch, and read books, and you'll never run dry. What do you think? Short and sweet, isn't it? That was her theory, at least. The things she said were always ridiculously simplistic. Honestly, I ignored those words with a snort the first time I heard them, but my master was a woman who put her beliefs into practice. Every morning she made me run. Every day she hit me with a stack of books. Although I don't know if she was to blame, I still run 60 kilometers every morning and habitually read books whenever I have free time. Sometimes she was harsh, sometimes she was sweet. She would even emit an abrasive, overpowering aurora at times. But every once in a while, she would be so gentle that my brain would be melt out of my ears. That was my master, a woman with a sizable build, who was nonetheless very picky about the little things. I've had a hard time dealing with a large woman ever since those days, but being aware of that fact doesn't mean I can fix it. It's not that I dislike them on a conscious level, but whenever I see a tall woman, I can't help but feel wary out of pure instinct. If you ask why I've been bringing this up all of a sudden, well, that would be because I've been reminded that there is a large woman in the school as well.
そんなに強くしたらダメなの。ほら逃げるな。じっとしてなさいよもう。つかダメって言うの。
Since this place is a student dormitory, it's of course only natural that a community of students would already be living here. It's entirely probable that they have their own rules that I don't know about. Although I'm a country hick fresh from the rural areas of Yaminashi, so it goes without saying that I'm poorly versed in the customs and rituals of this land. I have no way of penetrating the depths of the significance that may be hiding in the action that, at a glance, looks to be a simple case of bullying. What game is this? What are the rules? The puzzled faces stared back at me are familiar. It's a little girl and big woman combo that are roughly named Cicada Sisters when I first arrived at the school yesterday.
誰?
Who do you think?
質問に質問を返すのはバカの証拠だって誰かが言ってたよね。
That's so. Then I suppose I'm irredeemably stupid. Please call me moron boy, as if we've been friends for 10 years, Cicada Sisters.
セミ姉妹?
I saw the pair of you from the gate earlier. One of you was screaming a cicada around. One of you was swinging a cicada around, and the other was shrieking, as if I remember correctly.
変なとこ見られたな。あれはまあなんだその忘れて。
I'll see what I can do.
あ、ねえもしかして今日転入してくる学生って君?
Yeah, Kazumi Yushi. Good to meet you. I thrust my right hand, but this tall woman in front of me Wait. I thrust out my right hand, but the tall woman in front of me doesn't show any sign of grasping it. She's stiffened on the spot, staring fixated at my face. It looks like as if she's forgotten to breathe. Something wrong.
そうか、握手か。ごめん。
The big woman's frozen expression suddenly melts, and she lightly shakes my hand. It's an unexpectedly small, but decidedly cold hand.
風見裕二? 裕二くんか。なるほどね。私は周防あまね。はじめまして、裕二くん。ほら、マキナ。あんたも自己紹介は?
Why do I?
別に噛みつきゃしないわよ。名前は? マキナ。イリス・マキナ。
Iris Machina? Iris is a Greek god, and isn't Machina a Latin word? Literally translated, it would be something like Mecha Rainbow Goddess. What country are you from?
耳で聞くと確かにそう聞こえるかもしれないけど、漢字で書くと入り江の入りに巣鴨の巣、種まきのまきにナッパの名でイリス・マキナ。日本人だよ。
Wasn't she speaking English just now?
ああ、この子言語やがちょっとね。それに親の都合で6歳まで海外を飛び回ってたから。
I see. Well, good to meet you. Staring at my outstretched hand in silence, Machina clings to Amane's back as if trying to hide herself. What's wrong?
ごめん。この子人見知りが激しいっていうか、男の子に慣れてないのよ。病院生活が長かったってのもあって、同世代の男の子が珍しいっていうか、どう接すればいいのかわからないみたいなのよね。
I would draw the hand I've been holding towards Machina. There's no need to force her to deal with me in the first place, I guess.
いいのよ。そうやって甘やかすといつまで経ってもこのままなんだから。ほらマキナ、握手は？じゃないわよ。ちゃんと挨拶できない子はおやつあげないわよ。
Is don't get any snacks supposed to be an effective threat in this day of age? or so I thought. But hearing those words, Makina bites her lip tightly and extends her right hand towards me with a strained expression. I gently clasp her small hand and put on the natural-looking fake smile I learned from my master. I'm Kazumi, good to meet you.
エリスマキノです。よろしく。
Her voice is small and marked by distinct lisps. Her hand is tiny as her body, and is hot like that of a child.
ねえ、怖くないでしょ？挨拶だけじゃなくて、他に何かお話ししたいことは？好きな動物は何ですか？
I like dogs. What about it?
へえ、答えてから質問するのね。
I'm not really the indecisive sort. I don't hesitate when I need to come up with an answer, even more so when I have an important decision to make. Compared to failing without even trying, I'd rather take action, even at the risk of a mistake.
おお、かっこいい。
Are you mocking me?
まさか。
Then why do you laugh?
なんでだろうね。
I heard answering a question within a question is a sign of stupidity.
あらそう。じゃあきっと私はバカなのね。これからは10年来の友達のようにバカねと呼んでちょうだい。
Got it, moron girl.
今はまだ笑ってるけど、次呼んだら怒るよ。
What a troublesome woman.
あれ、もう行っちゃうの？
I don't feel like being late on my first day.
授業が始まるまでまだ1時間はあるわよ。
I'm used to waiting. I'll kill some time sightseeing over there or something.
それが悪いとは言わないけど、変わってるね。
I get that a lot. Well, see you in class.
あ、ユージ君、ちょっと待って。
What?
私からも一つ質問していいかな。
If it's something I can answer.
その、 ごめん、やっぱいいや。
If you got something to say, spit it out. No need to hold back.
また後で聞くわ。もう少し考えをまとめてから。
I see. I don't understand the thought patterns of large women. My master would probably say, if you don't understand by now, you never will. But my own thoughts are more along the lines of, even if I could understand, why bother? Kind of a sexist man, but... Well then, having said that to Amane, I'm confronted with the fact that there are no sights, particularly worth seeing here. There's easily an hour until the start of class. I've obviously woken up too early. Well, still better than being late, I guess. Might as well wait in the classroom. Why'd I have to remember those words just as I began walking down the hallway? What the? As I'm making my way towards the classroom, the principal had described yesterday, I heard something resembling a scream. No, not a scream exactly. The hell? Although it doesn't seem to be an emergency situation, I'm certainly a bit concerned by the sound. It's dramatically out of place in the otherwise quiet mornings in the schoolhouse. For the time being, I decide to approach. When I peer inside the hallway window, I find a single woman shouting in the direction of the blackboard. Judging from the fact that she's wearing a uniform, it would seem that she's a student here like Sachi, Amane, and Makina. Apparently oblivious to my presence, she continues her routine.
ウォーミングアップ終わり。じゃあ次。せーの。あえいうえおあおあえいうえおあおあえいうえおあお。
All in one breath, she firmly lets loose a string of syllables familiar as a vocal tuning exercise.
よーし、一 私の言うことが聞けないっていうの？なんか違うな。こんなんじゃ全然ダメだ。こほん。私の言うことが聞けないっていうの？今のは良かったと思う。じゃあ次。あんたのためにやってるんじゃないんだからね。
While staring at the memo pad in her hand, she awkwardly but forcibly rattles off phrases one after the other. It seems like it'd be best to ask her what she's doing directly. Is it the broadcasting club? In response to my question, or more likely my entrance, the woman leaps out in a shock and draws back a good 3 meters. Desks and chairs clatter dramatically in her wake. No, I have been hastily to assume that, well, this was from vocal exercises. The drama club seems to be plausible as well. You seem to be saying some kind of lines. Just as I'm getting ready to rephrase my question, the woman preempts me with her own. Me? I'm Kazumi Yuji. I'm transferring here as of today. Yeah. Nodding, I walk a few steps towards and stand in front of the woman. So, were you doing some sort of rehearsal after all? Sorry if you're interrupted. What? Which is it? I don't quite follow, but if I start asking questions, you'll probably get nosier, so I choose the path of least resistance. After I flop down on the chair, the woman mutters to herself in a low but perfectly audible voice. In contrast, she delivers her self-introduction with an artificial brightness. That's so. Initials MM, huh? I don't think anybody would be able to get that reference that easily from MM. Nobody said anything remotely like that. Do you want to be called messages that badly? Quite an energetic woman. She drops the subject and forgoes boldly on ahead. I think I said forgoes instead of forges boldly on ahead, but oh well. What does that sort of mean? Oh, what does that sort of mean? Fair enough. The woman's voice suddenly grows quiet. I want to call myself an enthusiast. She clears her throat effectively. You want me to call you Michiru, yes? She hums to herself and nods empathically, and apparently satisfied with the results. Next, she takes a colorful wafer of some sort out of a small container and crunches it down vigorously. What are you eating? I wasn't asking, I was wondering what those are. That's so. From the way you were showing them off, I was pretty sure you wanted me to ask. What the heck? I got a strange sense of deja vu from her phrasing just now. What was that? One of those long advertisements that they put inside trains. Since I don't ride them often, the few that I've seen stand out on memory. Right. They reprinted this idiotic article from a woman's magazine about how to make men fall for you. Purposefully treat them cold at first in order to create a contrast for your affection when you make your move. So you're supposed to be a tsundere. Michiru covers her mouth with her left hand and staggers backward in apparent shock. Her reaction is a bit puzzling, but I think I probably hit the bullseye. I see. I think I understand. You're playing a tsundere in an attempt to attract male attention, yes? But there's some points I'm not clear on, like that hair. Why are you bleaching it? Please, a genuine blonde has a more natural tone, not those artificial looking gold colors. I've known a few. That's so. Next time I happen to visit America, remind me to pick one up that's better hair dye. So as I was saying, why not bleach it? And that hairstyle is a little odd too. It's not one of those I see often. The way it... what has to be? Michiru begins to murmur her words under her breath as if to enumerate the curse's power. That she said that she has to describe the tsundere curse in the first person seems a bit strange, but pointing that out would make it only prolong this, so I'd leave it be. Michiru jabs out her index finger in my direction and... As she runs out of breath in their grand style, the curtain finally drops on Michiru's one-woman show. The echoing in her ragged breathing is only the sound otherwise in the silent classroom. Exactly 30 seconds have passed. It's tough being a tsundere, got it. I'm not entirely sure if that was supposed to of what she was looking for, or she just lost the will to go on, but Michiru glares at me while emitting a sound reminiscent of a malfunctioning industrial machine. Anyway, let's get along, Michiru. Yeah, it goes without saying. I plan to get along just fine on my own.
そこはセオリー通りにちゃんと戸惑ってよ、バカ。
It really isn't easy being a tsundere, is it?
もういい、帰れ。
Finally breaking down, Michiru begins flinging wasteful paper, permanent markers, and anything else lying around in a direction in an attempt to drive me off. Are you crying? Sorry, my bad.
泣いてない、バカ。
My attempt at an apology seems to be only fueled her anger, so in the end I decide to temporarily withdraw is in fact a temporary withdrawal is in fact called for. Class is starting in about 15 minutes, so it should be fine. I'll just kill some time elsewhere.
おはようございます。
5 minutes before class starts, 5 minutes before the start of class, practically the moment after I re-entered the classroom, Anime and Sachi arrive. The tsundere from earlier is looking at me with naked aggression, but noticing the arrival of the others.
おはよう、あまね、サチ。
Resuming the performance in question, she promptly calls out to them.
おはようございます、みちる様。
The instant her greeting is returned, Michiru runs over nosily and shakes her hands in front of Sachi.
どうかしたんですか？サチ、あんたそれやめてって言ったでしょ？みちる様っての。でもこれはみちる様が絶対にそう呼べって言ったから。だからあれはその冗談で、一度物理フォーマットしてもう一回入れ直せない？ね。
Michiru, while glancing over in my direction for some reason, desperately entreats Sachi, Amane. Amane, leaning on a desk, seems to be occupied with trying to hold in her laughter.
そんな絶対って言ったから、だから私。泣かないで。とりあえず今だけこれ命令。はい、泣きません。
What? The instant Michiru speaks, Sachi's tears abruptly vanishes as if someone threw on a switch. Michiru watches her cautiously, sweating heavily.
わかったわよ。特に何も規制とかしないから好きに呼べばいいじゃない。はい、みちる様。
Then, Michiru staggers her way back to her seat with all the vitality of a limp rag. You feeling alright, Michiru-sama?
殺すわよ。
Sorry, just wanted to give it a try. Michiru collapses weakly into her desk.
おはよ
Makina's lisping voice sounds more from the rear of the classroom. Seems like that she might not be used to my presence yet, judging from the way she beelines straight for Amane, hides herself behind her, and steals glimpses at me.
う。おはよう。あんたの人見知りというか、男見知りは本当に筋金入りね。マキナ、大丈夫よ。ちょっとムカつくとこもあるけど、こいつはそんな危ない人間じゃなさそう。
Appreciate Michiru.
別にあんたのためにしたわけじゃないわよ。決まった！今のは綺麗に決まった！
Keep up the good work. Apart from the large woman, this bunch seems to be present quite a variety of communication difficulties. Nothing but fantastically normal students here, you principal. As if in response to my sarcasm with the chiming of the opening bell, the perfectly normal principal appears before my eyes. Wait a second, there's only 4. As if we arrive at the beginning of this school day, I've noticed a difference in the information I've heard yesterday.
みんな揃ってるわね。ってわけでもないか。やっぱり。
I'm a bit tired. Standing at the podium, the principal notices the irregularity at the glance.
榊さんは今日はお休みかしら？
Her tone seems to be asking if anyone's familiar with the circumstances.
今日も重役出勤じゃないかしら。ここんとこずっとそうだし。確かに最近は夕方からしか来なくなっちゃったわね。
ユミちゃんどうしたのかな？
何かあったんでしょうか。
Apparently, I'm not the only one with questions about her alone truth.
まあいいわ。風見くんの紹介もしたかったけど、そのうちに会えるでしょ。
You're strangely tolerant.
ちょっといろいろとあってね。じゃあ出席を取ります。
From an open window, the scent of the tide flows into the room. Perhaps because of the walls and steel fences surrounding us from all sides, it's not always easy to remember that this place is in fact close to the sea. In contrast to the breeze and blue sky's intimidations of freedom, the gray of the jutting fences speak of denial and rejection. While my classmates raise their voices energetically, I pass the time staring into that sky. School life, huh?
ここが視聴覚教室です。すべての席にリスニングとヒアリングの機材が揃えられていて、語学学習にも適しています。
I'm gonna be sleeping now. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this little session of this visual novel. It's gonna be quite a long game, so I don't know how many episodes it's gonna take, but we'll see. So, ladies and gentlemen, good night, sleep tight, and don't let the bedbugs bite.